Hello.
Hi,
How
how
are
are
you?
you?
I'm so good. I know everything's changing right now.
I know, I was like going to the Instagram live. I'm like, whoa, this is different.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I don't know. I just discovered that this week. I was like, where is everything?
I feel like Instagram always does that. Like you get in there and you're like, everything is in a completely different place. Why did you do this to me?
Totally.
So do you just want to first start off by telling everyone a little bit about like who you are and what you do?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Bridget Botelho, and I am an integrative health practitioner and also a newly certified Reiki practitioner, which is very exciting. And I work with women, mostly with women with autoimmune and chronic conditions. And I really work with them to transform their health, rebalance their body, reconnect with their body in powerful ways to not only feel better, but just to find ease and flow in their daily health routines.
I love that so much because I feel like it really is like your health is always such like a manifestation of like your emotional state. And I think so many people don't realize this because they'll be like trying to fix like the health problem from like that point and you're like, but you really have to like dive into like why has that been created within yourself. So I think that's so amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's so easy to get stuck on the what you feel like you have to do and not the why or the how. And I think that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, 100%. Do you want to tell everyone, like, kind of take me back to where you were before you joined 90 Day Alignment Accelerator and, like, what was business and life like for you then?
Yes. So we started working towards the beginning of this year together. And at that point, I had started my business maybe 9 to 10 months before that. So I started my business about a little bit more than a year ago at this now. And at the time that I decided I wanted to work with you, I was in this place where I had a few clients at that point, but was really looking for a way to level up. And I had specifically chosen to take some time away from promoting my programs because I felt like I needed to dive into that inner work and I really needed to again, kind of focusing not on the what. I knew what I should be doing in theory, but I really kind of felt like I had skipped those pieces of the how and finding my why. And that's what really drove me to really wanting to work with you.
Yeah, totally. And for like anyone else who's kind of in the same place, like what were the things that sort of made you realize that you're like, okay, maybe this is like less a strategy issue and more like a mindset thing?
Yeah, I think, I around the same time had thought about working with other coaches that maybe had still been similar to some coaches I had in the past. They were more so teaching me how to craft a program, how to sell a launch, how to do these things given the mechanics and like strategies, which are all amazing, of course. But I felt that I was like, I think I'm at the point where I feel like really need to build that trust in myself and that belief in myself. Because if I don't fix that, I think that's just going to, I thought and knew that that was going to continue to have a ripple effect in my life. And so that's why I'm so attracted to the work you do because it's all about that. It's kind of like really looking underneath. And it was just so powerful and like even beyond my expectations because dealing with our subconscious and everything that kind of gets us to this point is really mind blowing.
Yeah, totally. I think sometimes people like when they haven't done some conscious work, like you don't know what you don't know. But then when you start to dig into it, you're like, oh, there's like a whole other world in here that like I wasn't aware was affecting everything else.
Absolutely. And I think when you were kind of checking in with me when we were working together, I just kept going back to this thing where it's like it was just a feeling. It was this like underlying live feeling to that I just knew was like deep rooted like in my subconscious because a lot of the stress and a lot of the limiting beliefs and like issues that really I had encountered daily in my work and life just started to alleviate. And it's like you can't always like explain it because you're just like, oh, I feel different.
Yeah, totally. And before we did that work, like, was there any feelings that you were kind of predominantly feeling that kept coming up for you?
Yeah, so we worked on a lot of really juicy stuff. I think, we definitely worked around this idea of feeling not enough and feeling like we're not doing enough. And for me, that was a big part of my work was like realizing that I didn't have to drive myself into the ground to find success and find progress in my business. And I think that's so true with life. We want to burn ourselves out because we feel like we could always be doing more. And that was that powerful first step. And we had also worked on feeling safety in being myself and my authenticity, which I thought was like really powerful. And then I always loved the work that we did around money mindset, around this belief. I was conditioned basically to believe that to make money, I had to work hard and I almost had to like sacrifice parts of myself for that. And yeah, even just realizing that and then going into reprogram that was just really amazing.
Yeah, totally. I think it's like, it's such a thing because we hear so much in business. People are like, oh, you just have to go out there and take massive action and do this and do this. And it's like, okay, you need to feel a sense of safety in yourself first, though, before you can go and do that stuff, because otherwise your nervous system just kicks in. And I think so many entrepreneurs feel this because you either go in like fight or flight or freeze, basically, like you're going to just be constantly taking action, but you don't have the belief to back up the action you're taking, or you'll just do nothing, which I think a lot of people do as well. They just get freaked out and then they just do nothing. And then, of course, your business doesn't grow at that point either.
Yeah, I think at that point I had, when we started working together, it was because I had a couple of experiences where I launched my program a couple times. And yes, there was some success, which I'm so grateful for, but I left that experience feeling drained and exhausted. And then it would result into this like paralysis or just like feeling stuck. And it lasted for like months. And I was just like, I don't really know how to get out of this. And so I think that getting stuck is maybe going to always be a thing, but like having that awareness and the tools and the beliefs to like help you get out of that more easily and like reconnect back to that flow and like taking things step by step and taking line action, I think has been like so important because as an entrepreneur, it's like you don't have a few months to waste. Like, no, you don't always have to be working so hard all the time, but you really like, yeah, still need to like keep that vision and that action going.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially at the beginning of the journey too, because I always think it's like pushing like a rock down a hill or something. Like you need so much effort to get that rock going. And when it's
Mhm.
going, it kind of builds momentum. But I think sometimes, especially like getting it off the ground and like moving it is, it takes a lot.
Absolutely. And that's what I also loved about working with you is not only was there that component of the RTT to really find that momentum, but then you were also able to like kind of look at maybe some blind spots that I had and like find efficiencies and like find ways that would make my life easier. Like you had recommended that I work with collab teams to get a VA and it's like changed my life. And like I, now have a virtual assistant that I absolutely love and it makes my job so much easier. And I just keep thinking like if I didn't have that help or feel like it was okay to like have that help, like I would be in a completely different place.
Yeah, totally. I think so much of like business is sometimes we just need permission. And especially at the beginning, so many people are like, oh, like, why would I hire now? Or even know what I would give them to do. And I'm like, that's the point you want to do it because you don't want to wait until you have so much stuff that you don't have time to give them something else. And then your whole business just grows so much better. And like, I know you're a projector as well. And for us, it's so important to have that support so we don't feel like we're trying to do everything because we're just not meant to work that way. And like allowing ourselves that permission really is just what allows us to work in our zone of genius. And then everyone benefits.
Right, like having someone share the load and then also like working behind the scenes on the subconscious work, like is really a powerful formula because it, like you said, it leaves you able to just focus on like being you and like what you authentically bring to your business.
Yeah, absolutely. And what did you feel like were your biggest goals and motivations at the time when we first started working together?
For me, I wanted to have a bigger launch than I had had, and I can say that I totally had that. I just finished, yeah, I feel like when we had wrapped up our work together, I was preparing for this launch, and I took some extra time to like invest in some other components of the business, which again, I feel like you really like sparked that part in me too. And yeah, and I just had an amazing launch, and I'm able to charge, clients more than I've ever been able to charge because I've also been able to like feel confident in the value that I'm bringing. And yeah, having um yeah, just the experience of like, and also just having the confidence. Like, I think the way that I'm showing up right now in the live is so different than I had been showing up before. And I just feel like the way that I'm able to connect with my audience is just so much more different. It's rooted in service and like excitement as opposed to like this fear, because I am able to trust more what I am sharing.
Yeah, totally. And I think even I've noticed it in your stories. Like you're like out there and you're showing up and it's like it's so good because when we kind of show up and get visible, like people can connect with us and it's like always the thing I want to encourage in people is like just be your authentic self because like that's what draws people in, but we also have to have that sense of safety to be our authentic self. So it's just like I feel like entrepreneurship is such an inside game and until people get that, it's like it's hard for everything to click into place.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I think stories used to be something that um, yeah, kind of dreaded doing, because I was just like not sure what to say, and I wanted it to be good, and I wanted to get, the best story views and like all of these things. And the moment that I threw all that out the window and just shared like what I was going through in my day, quick tips that I just kind of channeled in the moment, like that's when I really started to see people connecting in a different way. And that just makes it more fun and educational for everyone, right? Because it's also like I'm able to teach it or approach this as a learning practice as well, because I can see what people find the most value in, and I can be a resource for people. And I think getting out of that focus of like feeling like you have to do well, whatever that means, and just showing up authentically instead, I think is has been a huge shift for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we worked together, like what did you feel like you tried in the past that maybe didn't work?
That's a good question. Like I think I definitely tried, kind of um showing up in a different way that was maybe just like not as energetically aligned with my ideal clients. And so, yes, I still maybe got some connections here and there with folks, but it really wasn't attracting like who my clients are now, who I love, working. I mean, I love all my clients, but it's definitely less hard to reach them as it had been in the past. And so I feel like in the past, it would always be like this output of work just felt hard and like something that I would kind of dread because I was like losing the fun and the creativity in it. And so now I'm able to, do things like create emails, have lunches, host trainings, and show up on lives and with like so much ease and get excited about it and focus on the connection as opposed to like being stuck in my head.
Yeah, totally. I always think it's like this paradox with entrepreneurship because on one hand I'm like, yeah, it is really hard sometimes and it is challenging. It is like technically a lot of like work, but when you do the subconscious work and you like remove those mental blocks, then that work feels so much easier. And I feel like until you've experienced it, it's like you don't understand what that mental shift feels like because it just feels like that resistance has moved and like you can do those things with more flow.
Right, because all of those things, all that stress and holding on to those stories that we have in our subconscious, that all drains our energy. And yeah, I mean, for me, it was, especially being a projector where I'm already so affected by energy and it gets depleted. But like workshops and like things like we said, like just showing up on stories, like those were things that really had drained my energy. And now they just don't as much now. Like, yeah, I probably need like, you know, a little energetic ritual after a big training or something like that. But it's definitely not to the same degree. And I think that is really powerful. Like if you can protect your body from experiences like that and also just like save yourself so much stress, um, you know, it really can make such a huge difference.
Yeah, 100%. And how did you come to actually find 90 Day Alignment Accelerator?
I've been following you for a while because you know I think we were just kind of in similar networks through like Chakra Girl Business School and all that fun stuff. And so you know I had been following you for I think at least like several months at that point, and I had been on your podcast when I was still you know felt like I was getting my business up and running, and I loved the 90 Day Alignment Accelerator because it's exactly like what I needed. I needed this accelerating container to kind of focus on those blocks and also focus on some of the strategic stuff as well. And so, yeah, I remember like when you were doing your launch for the program when right before I joined, I was like, I have to do this.
Yeah, totally. I love that because it's like I I feel like I'm such an impatient person that I'm like I always want things to happen as quickly as they can because like
Yeah.
business moves quickly, especially in the online
Mhm.
space and like saying before like you don't want to wait months to get yourself into the like the mental headspace of like where you need to be for that next launch and like it's
Mhm.
another reason I love RTT because I feel like it just like gets you those results quickly and then you can really just like quantum leap into that next level like a lot faster than maybe like other things that I had tried in the past.
Yeah, and I'm still feeling and receiving the benefits from our work together. And there were even some quick things that happened when we were still working together. You know, one of them was like all of a sudden there was just this shift online where all of a sudden I had like booked 3 discovery calls and I was just like making all these connections online that I really hadn't before. And then I think I mentioned this last time we were live, but like I all of a sudden got because my background in my other previous job was in communications, and so I all of a sudden got this like email from on LinkedIn from this like consulting firm wanting to like offer me like a consultant rate just to talk to them for an hour, and so like I made $1,500 off of that, and it's like it's just like all these opportunities were kind of opening up for me and just having that, knowing what that feels like and having that experience really creates this ripple effect that I am still, feeling. And I just started like re-listening to one of the RTT recordings too, because it's always just great to like revisit those as well.
Yeah, I love that. And what was the experience of like going through the program like for you?
It was awesome. I felt like it was so amazing to like have both the RTT sessions and then the business calls with you. Like I felt like having that like every other week was really awesome because there were times that we could dive into the RTT stuff and kind of like heal coming from that. But then there were also like these more strategic kind of business calls where I could just talk about what was going on in my business, which, as you know, as a projector, is like really important for us. And yeah, and then also I loved having like all the course materials that you offer as well. So it was really nice. I felt like I got an amazing amount of one-on-one support in two really like important ways. And then I was able to kind of have those other resources at my fingertips to just kind of continue to guide me on that path.
Yay, I love that. Yeah, it's like I always want to combine like the energetic and the practical because I think so
Mhm.
many people can be like, it's this or it's this. And I'm like, well, it really is both, but like you need the energetic so that you can actually go out and do the strategy. So it's like I love combining all of it together.
Yeah, it's super important. And that's like also what I found to be the sweet spot in my coaching as well. It's like you kind of have to have both because you need to know how to do things, but then you need that motivation to do it.
100%. And what did you kind of learn the most from the program, or like what was your biggest takeaway?
Ooh, um, that's a really good, there's so many takeaways, but I feel like the main takeaway was like having that profound trust and belief in myself and like knowing that that was like that's the foundation and the key to my success. And like there are going to be days where I feel like I maybe get more done than others, and that doesn't matter because like being myself and like believing in myself is like that ultimate um constant that you need. And so for me, and just like seeing how powerful, how that made a difference when really like I feel like I'm still doing the same things that I had done, but they're just, it's different.
Yeah, totally. And I guess we sort of dived into this a little bit, but like what happened kind of next afterwards? Like you had your launch and then like what else did you go after that?
Yeah, so after that, I, also had more money coming to me after I filed my taxes and I got some money back from that. So yeah, so that was amazing. And it was like way more than I expected. And so I reinvested that in someone who could help me build like an ads funnel. And I actually think we talked about this when I was like my last call together with you. And that was really cool because I think for me being able to learn from other experts like has been really helpful. And so I felt like that really like helped me level up in a very different way. But it was also cool because I already had this momentum from working with you and was able to kind of channel that in a different way. And then, yeah, I think I got so immersed in really, I think I forgot to mention that I did actually sign a client while we were working together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Woo. So, that was cool because she kind of joined and it was like again like she came on the program at the highest rate that I had ever like listed, and she came kind of at an off time where I wasn't working with a ton of other clients. So I was able to kind of use her as a guide to make a ton of updates to my program. So I also felt like I had this huge momentum where I essentially like revamped my whole one-on-one coaching program and then like was able to launch that in June. And so now I'm about a month and a half in with my new clients who are amazing and it's been so fun.
Love that. I guess like, are there any other things that you felt like it really helped you accomplish, or like what was the biggest result you saw out of 90-day alignment accelerator?
I think just like my day-to-day energy, like I feel like the way that I felt confident in showing up and um was so transformational for me. And I think I remember emailing you and being like, I can't even like describe it, but it's just like I feel different and I felt lighter. And like not only did that just have general like therapeutic and like health related benefits, but then I had more time and space for my business and things weren't as scary or as daunting as they had been. And I think that was just um so amazing and game changing for me.
Yay, so good. And like, what was the biggest feeling that you kind of felt after we finished our time together?
I felt excited. Like I think that my other option would be free. Like I felt freedom for sure. But yeah, I think like excited was a huge one because it was just like, oh, this doesn't feel as scary or daunting or as hard. Like I'm just gonna keep going and it's like I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I love that. And what do you feel like it makes possible for you now?
Oh my God, it makes like everything possible. I feel like having more of that mental clarity in that space has given me a lot of amazing new ideas. So now I'm working on other programs and courses. I'm about to launch a course in a couple of weeks, actually, which I'm very excited about. And I just feel like kind of freeing up all that space in my mind allowed me to um, meditate around and to like get these downloads on like these other products and programs that can really help people. And so I think that's what's I'm so excited about because it's just the ideas are just really flowing.
I love that. And if you could go back to the beginning before we started working together and give yourself any advice, what would you tell yourself?
I think the advice I tell myself is just that the biggest thing that's standing in my way, like, is myself. And I feel like that's true for so many entrepreneurs. And it's like, if you get out of your own way, it's like not only easier, but it's just so much more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that so much. Thank you so much for your time today. And for everyone watching, if you want to get on the wait list for 90-day alignment accelerator, the link is bit.ly/alignment accelerator, or the link is in my bio. But thank you so much for joining me today. It was so good to talk to you.
Yes, everyone sign up. It's so amazing.
And go and give Bridget a follow as well because she's
Oh, yeah.
incredible. Soon.
Thank you. Bye.